Hey, it's Jamie, and today we're rehashing Judges 14 to 16. In today's scripture, we're learning about one of the judges from the 7th book of the Bible, Judges, and that judge's name was Samson. I don't know why I gotta say it like that, just do. Samson, according to the angel that visited his parents, was a Nazarite dedicated to God from his mother's womb and was gifted this crazy, Hercules strength by the Lord. Poor Samson, though, from Jump Street, it seems, he had a lot of girl troubles. Old Samson must have been a very good-looking man as well. First, he met a woman outside of his clan from the Philistines, and he wanted to marry her, completely tickety-booing his parents, right? So then at those marriage festivities, for some reason, because this is what they did back then, he gave her and her clan some riddle, promising jewels and robes if they got it right, but if they got it wrong, he told them, he got the jewels and robes. Now, new wifey then gets threatened by her own tribe, the Philistines, demanding that she get the answer from him so they can get all the jewels and robes, of course. But poor wifey doodles, man. She felt there was no way out than to act in disloyalty to her brand new hubster. She didn't really want to, but she did. She tricked Samson into giving her the answer. At the end of the 7-day marriage feast, when he figured out why they had the correct answer, he showed his strength and he took those robes and jewels off 30 dudes. Then he went away and took some time to cool off, a smart guy. But then he attempted to go to his wife's chambers after that, only to find that her father had given her away to somebody else. And oh baby, this chap Samson's burger bun's something fierce. And he felt that he had a right to go after the Philistines now, because they had tricked him, right? So he heads to town with a plan that eventually burnt down their vineyards, their grain, their olive groves. Yikers, big mess. Unfortunately, when the Philistines learned of this, they were too furious with wifey's dad and his dealings and all this, so they burnt the two of them, wifey and her dad, to death. Yikers! Times 2. Okay, so you can imagine they go back and forth at each other for a little while. Samson living on pure rage, the Philistines living out of fear. He ends up killing 1,000 of their men in all of this back and forth war craziness. And to congratulate himself, old Samson then went to town and enjoyed the company of a lady of the night. And then he met and fell head over heels for Delilah. Now, Delilah was sent to Samson by the Philistines to try and figure out where he got his strength from and what his weakness was, if there was one. Of course, in exchange for a ton of money that they promised Delilah, and she wanted that money. So 3 times Delilah asked about it, and 3 times Samson lied to her about the answer, and 3 times she scolds him for it, if you can imagine. Ew, you won't tell me what I want to know so my people can take away your gift. You're ridiculous. Anyway, Delilah finally drives Samson crazy enough that he was all done listening to her, and he breaks down and he tells her the truth. If a razor touches his head, his strength leaves his body. Now pay close attention here. The Lord put Samson in his mother's womb, purposefully giving him an Achilles heel for his old strengthometer. So far, Samson's life doesn't really look like a plan that God would make. In fact, it's kind of a mess. Sleeping around, fighting with the Philistines, visiting prostitutes. Of course, once Samson tells Delilah his Achilles heel, things go from bad to worse, man. But it's all by design. Not Samson's, the Lord's. Delilah cuts his hair, obviously, rendering him weak, and her people then seize him and gouge out his eyes. Gross. They throw him in prison in bronze shackles, and then they have him grind grain. That's going to be his existence now. A blind grain grinder. Think about what Samson must have been thinking back then. This whole life, this brute strength he was gifted, for what? So he can spend his life blind and in prison? But wait for it. I know I'm probably testing your focus today because we humans have an ever-shrinking attention span, but this is the Lord, baby. You don't want to miss this. And the ending is great. Okay, so the Philistines are all pumped and celebrating. They brought down Samson. Look at us. We're so awesome. They're making offerings to their gods in gratitude, drinking and enjoying some relief that their worst enemy is finally off the streets. But the hair on Samson's head begins to grow back, baby. And after a little bit of time, unbeknownst to those dirty Philistines and Samson himself, so did his strength. So while they're at ground level and high spirits, all proud of their accomplishments, they tell the jailer to bring Samson out to entertain them. Come on, bring him out. So they stand him among the great pillars that were actually holding up the party temple. And Samson requested that they set him near or against one of those pillars so he could have some sort of bearings, knowing where he is. Because he has no eyes anymore, right? So the jailer does as Samson asks. And then Samson realizes, this is it. This is my purpose. This life of strength and these intense girl problems were all for this exact moment. Right then, right there. Everything had to happen how it did for him to be standing between those 2 pillars at that moment underneath a huge gaggle of the Lord's enemies. So Samson begins to pray to the Lord to return him to full strength. He begs God to let him seek revenge for his eyes. Then he screams, "Let me die with the Philistines!" And he stretches out his arms between those pillars, and using more strength than he'd ever had before, he knocks over the entire party temple, killing all the merrymakers up top. down came the blasphemous temple, down came the blasphemous Philistines, and down came Samson, killing more people with his own death than he did while he was alive. Pretty crazy story, right? So let me quickly hollow the lesson at you. Our lives can be a mess. Our lives can be tricky. We can be deceived, hurt. We can deceive and hurt others. But if you're focusing on the Lord and trusting in his plan, even when it looks like it's all for nothing, God will come out of the woodwork and show you exactly what you were made for. Whether it's something you may not ever notice, like maybe your purpose is to raise a certain child, or to simply stop and talk to an old friend that was about to get hit by a car, you don't know. But if you're with him, his plan is with you. So until tomorrow, have a blessed day. Please comment, and thank you so much for joining me in this messy and a Bible in a year commitment. Tomorrow we're diving into Judges 17 to 19 if you want to read ahead. I hope you have a blessed day, and don't forget to say your prayers.
This is the Bible in a Year theme song.